John Zaid? Should I start? Hey, everybody. If everyone could please sit down. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming to the first Bridging the Gap workshop in Karachi. I'm Daniel Punjwani. I started Cape Mons Records in September last year. And we collaborated with Cello and Dialed In, and we brought these wonderful people here to conduct some workshops. So yeah, this is just really about a cross-cultural skills exchange and learning from each other, giving the diaspora access to our culture and vice versa. A part of this project is that we're also going to be taking a band called Joby from Lahore to the UK in August, and they'll be recording at Real World Studios, which is where Nusrat Fateh Ali also recorded. So yeah, we've got a lot of things planned. I just wanted to keep this brief. Thank you so much for signing up, and I'll leave the rest to them.
Hey everyone, can you hear us?
Hey, can you hear us?
Are we on the...
Are the mics on?
Are the mics on?
Hello,
You can hear us?
hello.
All right,
Yeah.
we're good.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry to be starting a little bit late, but we're on Karachi time apparently.
We're learning about
We
that.
turned up like 5 hours ago, just FYI.
So I guess
Literally.
to start with, we could all just introduce ourselves a little bit. Maybe you want to go first, Nabihah?
Hey everyone, my name is Nabihah Iqbal, and I'm from London, born and bred, but Pakistani, and I actually was here at District 19 a few months ago to play my first ever Pakistan gig in December. DJ'd out there, and it was really fun. And I'm a DJ, a musician, producer, and broadcaster. I make music. My first album came out on Ninja Tune, and I'm currently working on finishing up the second one, which will also be released on Ninja. I've got a show on NTS Radio in London, and frequently on different BBC channels as well, and just do all things to do with music. Hey.
Hi, I'm DJ Manara. We accidentally wore the same demeanor.
Make some noise for that. Make some noise for that. Come on, matching outfits. Come on.
And it looks like a USB, kind of, like
That's
a
why we
USB
wore it.
logo, so that was also a coincidence. I've been DJing and making sort of semi-production edits for the last 12, 13 years. Just sort of started by mixing the same vinyl into the same vinyl. So I had to make the same song into the same song. And my friend just locked me in the room for half an hour and was like, you're not coming out till you've mixed these 2 records if you want to learn. So that's how I learned on vinyl, and then gradually I moved to CDJs and sometimes controllers. I also have a weekly radio show called Pure Spice, where I just play mix of South Asian music with club music from around the world. And I haven't been to Pakistan in 15 years. So this is really, really surreal and humbling and nice for me. And yeah, I'm really excited.
My name's Ahad, DJ under the name Ahadadream. I was born in Pakistan. I was born in Rawalpindi, then I lived in Islamabad, then I lived in Karachi, and then in 2001 my family moved over to the UK. I've been making music for about 7 years now, and DJing as well for around the same time, maybe a little bit more. I run a record label called More Time Records. We release kind of percussive club music from all different parts of the world, like South Africa, Ghana, Brazil, kind of Afro-diasporic music, because I find that really inspiring. And that's kind of the music I play as well. And I've been putting on events as well for about 6 or 7 years as well. You forget how long you've been doing it after a while. But,
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. And then, mainly focusing on bass music, and I also curated a lot of shows for Boiler Room, putting on bass music on there. And then last year, we started a new festival called Dialed In, which is focused on South Asian artists in London and beyond. And we did our first event in September, and it went really, really well. All these guys performed as well. And it was it felt like it was really needed, like a big kind of space like that. So yeah, I think that would be a good introduction.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what were you thinking? Maybe like go around the room and maybe each person quickly says like who they are and where they're from and like why they came here.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we've got time for that. If
It'd be
everyone's
good
up
for
for
us to
it.
get to know you as well because like it'd be nice for us to steer the workshop in that way, and then it's not just like us talking at you. We're also learning about you.
Yeah.
Do we have the wireless mic? Or maybe it's on one. Okay, cool.
Okay.
We'll just make it quick. We'll just say
Yeah.
who you are, where you're from, why you come here, like if you
Yeah.
do music, let us know about that as well.
If you're already DJing or just complete beginner and you want to learn a little bit about it, then
Everyone looks
Just
very
part-
nervous now. But we just had to do it, so you got to do it.
yeah.
Yeah, how does it feel?
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Hassan Anis, and I'm a rapper, singer, songwriter. I produce a little bit, so I wanted to like improve my production. So just here to learn. So
Okay.
looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Sarah Fareed, and I have lived half my life in the States. I was born in Houston, and half my life here, so I kind of fit in everywhere and kind of am still different. So I have a place called The Sanctuary where I use arts for change, and it's very avant-garde. It's about experimenting and bringing together musicians and artists to do that. So I have podcasts, and I'm also a lawyer, so that's also what I do.
Nabihah
I'm
studied
also
law.
a lawyer. but now full-time
We will
music.
talk about that.
My parents were like, no.
Yeah, I studied. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. It's worth it. It's worth it.
I'm Homa. I'm not a musician, but I work a lot with musicians and artists, so I thought maybe this would be a good start. And I mean, I think I wrote and sang a few songs, so yeah, if that counts.
Short and sweet. My name is Hassan Malik. I'm a psychiatrist, actually. I used to run a music label, our community here called Black Beach Project. Now I've shifted to Manchester, and I do a couple of shows in Liverpool for mental health and music. Recent inductee to CDJs, more of a digital DJ before, so I'm hoping I'll learn some tips and tricks.
Hello, I'm Musfara. I'm a writer and artist, and I want to learn how to make songs.
Hi, I go by the name of DJ Natalia Ali. I run an entertainment company called The Jungle. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I've recently dabbled into DJing. So as having an entertainment company, I launched myself. And then I've been booking gigs since then. So I took a workshop from DJ Solid, Karachi-based DJ. So I feel like I'm on the middle tier level, but I would still know how to, I would love to learn how to produce music and beats.
Okay. So I don't know how many, a few people have mentioned production already. Tomorrow we'll be doing
Yeah, so the first 2
production.
hours of this is going to be DJing, and then we're going to end on a little bit of marketing, and then tomorrow is going to be production.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know.
So you can leave now if it's
But also DJing helps you give you an idea of what sort of music you want to make.
Yes, and what sort of
Which is really
music
good,
turns
yeah.
people on,
Yeah.
It's good.
Hello guys, my name is Mahmood. I go by the name of Painted Clocks, and I've started DJing about 2 years ago. I'm moving into the intermediate zone, I would say. I'm upgrading for my from my DTJ 400. I would like to practice a bit more on my beat matching, so in order to move on to club gear. So that's my objective, and I want to learn a bit about production as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, this is Faika. Actually, my profession is I am a dentist, but I've started playing electronic music for the past 4 years, and now I am exploring the world of being an open format DJ. And I'm really inspired by you guys. I really want to mix commercial music, and this is the reason I'm here. Plus, I also want to get into production, which is, I'm sure it's going to happen tomorrow. So that's my motive for the workshop.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Samya. I'm an illustrator and designer based here in Karachi, and I'm an aspiring DJ, so yeah, here for that.
Hi, my name is Zayan Abedin. I started a company called Ticketwala, which does basically digital ticketing for events and things happening in Pakistan. And I've been in the music industry for the last 6 years as well. I've been DJing since then. And I just wanted to learn more things about it. So that's why I'm here.
Here and Moise.
Yeah, big up the guys from District 19
Yeah.
as well. Thank you for having us. Also, fun fact about Samia, she used to know my older sister when I lived here. So
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize.
Wow.
So she's seen me when I was a little boy.
Hi, sitting here at the back, Subhan, aka Sabukin. I've been around the music industry or just friends and DJs for the last 15 years, but never really had the confidence to pick up the hardware and actually do it. So I've started learning, I'm here, I'm self-employed, do that on the side in construction and stuff. And yeah, but production is the reason why I'm here, because I've learned to mix the songs. I like grimy beats and dirty sounds, but just to develop that and start production, basically.
Hello, I'm Etasam. I'm basically a producer, and I want to learn more about DJing now. Yeah, so I think that's about it.
The top people might have to come down.
I think it's good.
What's up, everyone? I'm Temur Malik. I go by the stage name Malik, and I'm a producer and a DJ. I'm here visiting my friend Daniel, who is also a very talented producer and DJ. Yeah, I want to learn a bit more about production and everything. Hey, what's up? Yeah, that's all.
Hey guys, my name is Daniel. I go by Sid. I've been DJing for about 7 years and producing for 6. I'm just here to pick up some more skills from the GOAT, apparently, who we saw yesterday. It was insane. Yeah, that's basically why we're here.
Hi everyone, my name's Kiara. I think I'm the youngest one here actually, and I started DJing last year. I started working with Psytrance music, and I just played like one gig here at District.
I think that's everyone. No, they're not in.
Oh, they're not? Okay.
Aren't they part of
No.
Oh. Why not?
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming. For the DJ part, I think, Saz, you were saying that the best thing to do is just to be as practical as possible.
Yeah.
And just get people mixing straight away.
Yeah.
So would you guys be down to have a mix? Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's
So-
the best way to learn. There's only so much we can say by just like talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, if you have any questions about anything.
that's true.
No, actually, I
But
did
maybe
think of
we
something.
should-
I did think of something. It would be interesting to know how each of you learned and started. I know what I did is illegally download a copy of Virtual DJ, and then like the first mixes that I recorded, I didn't have any of this. I didn't have a controller. It was just on the laptop, and I think that's like. I think what I know about here is there's like a lack of access to equipment, especially the more expensive stuff like CDJs. I've never had CDJs in my life, and I think like
Even in London, it's quite a big investment, to buy CDJs just for yourself.
No one I know actually owns.
Yeah. So I'd say like even if you don't have the equipment, you can download say Virtual DJ or Record Box. You can record mixes just there and then on your laptop. And that's what I was doing for maybe like the first year. What about you?
So, like I said, I started just practicing on vinyl, and then a lot of the music I was playing wasn't being released on vinyl, and it's quite expensive to cut it, and I'm not one of those purists. And then obviously I did the whole real job thing for a few years and put it on hold, but I would play a lot with Ableton and like making edits and producing, and I would just do that in my spare time, and that sort of kept me, I always knew what I wanted to mix when I actually got my hands on some decks. And I feel like in the last sort of 5 years in London, there's more places opening up where you can maybe book a few hours slot to practice. DJing. But like I had said, most of the time it was either Ableton or Record Box, because this is the program we have here. And as you can see, you can sort of, it's not exactly the same as decks, but even without a controller, you can get an idea of what you might want to play and what you can mix. And I was just doing that in my spare time, and then this ill-fated radio station called Radar Radio opened up, and a lot of us had shows on it, and same with NTS. And these places, they're quite like accommodating if you just wanted to drop in and bring your USB and maybe mix with your friend. But again, that was more like the last 5 years, I would say. Before that, it was sparse. And again, I've never owned decks.
Yeah, and even to be fair, before mixing, it's good that you mentioned radio. We're so lucky to have access to so many different radio stations in London, and even at uni, like there's student radio everywhere I went. Like, so my first thing would have been a student radio show, wasn't really even mixing. And I think that's really important as well, just learning how to select and trying to figure out your sound and like what it is that you really like.
You just reminded me, actually, that's why I started DJing, because my student radio station didn't give me a show. I was so angry and so petty that I was like, that's it, I'm gonna become a DJ now. Like, you've made me angry. And I thought my taste was like so amazing and superior, especially at that age.
It is.
You're like really full of yourself and like you think you're amazing. So actually that motivated me, not getting that show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's also, revenge is sometimes also a motivation. So,
definitely.
I first started DJing just because me and like my big group of friends in London who were all into music, we were just kind of like experimenting with different things at the same time. So I'd say I started kind of like trying out production and DJing at the same time. In terms of production, literally just started on GarageBand and was messing around. And for DJing, I persuaded my parents for my birthday to buy me like this controller, but I had to really persuade them because they just didn't really get it. They were like, why do you want this for your birthday? But I got this Vestax controller that had the built-in sound card, and then I used it with the Tractor DJ program, and that's how I learned how to DJ. And I don't know how it is in Pakistan. It's probably different in Pakistan, but I feel like in the UK, there's a bit of a snobbery around controllers compared to a lot of other countries, because as soon as you go just even into Europe, people are using controllers in the clubs and no one bats an eyelid. Whereas in the UK, if you use a controller, people are like, oh my God, like why have you got a Game Boy in the club? Someone once said that to me, but you just have to not care about that. And it's a great way to start because, as these guys said, it's way more accessible than getting decks, and also it's an investment to buy a mixer and CDJs and speakers and everything. And maybe when you start with a controller, that's when you're going to realize this is something I want to do, or perhaps you don't want to do, right? Or maybe, so you just don't know. So it's a good way to start. And I feel like a lot of people in Karachi have controllers. So, and I also feel like all the music people are friends with each other. So even if you don't have one, you're probably friends with someone who does have a controller. And it's a good way to just try it out, like just hanging out one afternoon and just try it. And
I think like talking about your early experiences of learning to DJ, it'd be interesting to know like what your first gigs was like.
So my first gigs, so it was like the same group of friends, right? All like DJing and sharing mixes and stuff. So we all used to put on our own parties in London. And we started by putting them on in a laundrette, like the Dhobi. I don't know, that's how, so, you know, it was really strange. I think one of my friends was living in an apartment above this laundrette, and he knew the landlord, and he made friends with him, and he was like, can you just let us do a party in here? And for some reason he agreed, so we like took in a massive sound system, and I was just DJing off my laptop and controller that time, and it was the first time I ever played. It was like a small place, but it was packed out, and then and it was such a success, so we did a whole series of these laundrette parties all around London, and that's where I first started to DJ. And everyone there, I don't know, I played and everyone loved it, and then the guys who were like putting on the party, they were like, oh, you need to keep playing, and that's how it all started. And then people who'd come there might book me for another gig somewhere else in London, and that was the beginning.
I feel like similar to Nabihah, we sort of started DJing so long ago that it was like pre-Instagram. Pre-Instagram.
Yeah.
There was no way to promote your stuff online. I'm not even sure if Facebook promotion was as big a thing.
No.
You had to fly paste posters and hand out flyers, or just get it out word of mouth, and it was a lot more DIY. And similarly, I was using Ableton and a controller to DJ, and again, people were snobby.
What were those parties? And what kind of music were you playing?
All sorts. So I guess it was like house music, bassline, bass-focused music, grime, and then just randomly I would get a few gigs here and there, just across the country, and just through word of mouth. And actually, it was way different to getting your mixes out now. Now you can just make a post and share it, and a million other people can share it and see it. So I feel like some of it is also right place, right time. Like the laundrette, it's like random coincidences like that.
Definitely.
And what music were you? Sorry, Fran.
No, I was just saying the DIY-ness and the chaoticness was kind of beautiful because London is a different city now.
Yeah.
It's much harder to find venues. Its laws have changed. The governments have changed. Like
Instagram's changed everything.
And that too, because unfortunately that's added a visual element to what is actually DJing in a dark room. That's why I started.
Yeah,
I
before
wanted to
people
play
had
music
camera
in a
phones.
dark room. I didn't care. And we used to go to a club called Plastic People in East London, which is really famous for a night called Forward that's started by the people that started Rinse FM. Again, pitch black. You've been, right?
I actually
It's
never
a
was lucky
small,
enough to go.
tiny club, maybe an eighth of the size of this room.
Yeah, and the DJ was not center stage in there.
That's
You're
what
kind
I
of
liked,
hidden.
yeah.
Yeah, so you just go in and there were speakers all around the room and the DJ was sort of like in this weird cupboard or something.
Yeah.
It was kind of like behind the scenes. So it was just, you go in the space and you focus on the music. The bar was in a separate room, so it was just really a dancing space.
It was never
amazing.
like, whoa, hands in the air, like DJ vibe. It was
They
more
just
like
had a red light and that was it.
Absolutely, and I think that's
Memories.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think from going out has inspired me.
Yeah.
Seeing other DJs in that era, but yeah.
Where did you first start DJing?
So it was there through student radio as well, but like the only gigs I could get were in like the main commercial student nights. So I'd be playing like either hip hop and R&B or commercial stuff. But I think that really taught me how to read a crowd. And it's just like, those types of crowds are the most unforgiving, that if you don't play something they like, they're gonna leave.
They stand there like annoyed in the front.
So, but like, I think that gave me like an instinct a little bit more to be like, to play to like crowds who aren't into maybe underground music. And I think that's like it's a good training ground, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of DJs who don't read the crowd at all, and you can see that, and people underestimate the importance of it.
Actually, more important than mixing is like being able to see what people are liking and what they're responding to, and then like being like, oh, I know what would work really well in this, and then just like putting that on.
But then also adding your own twist onto it. And it's like a real skill. And sometimes when you see those sort of like master DJs, the old school people like Theo Parrish or Marcellus Pittman or Giles Peterson, like when they play, like when I saw Moody Man play, right, he was literally mixing from acid house into Black Sabbath, which like no younger DJ would go near because it's just, it feels like a really out there move, but it worked because like he was confident and he knew that transition or where he was trying to take the crowd would work. And it was incredible to see, and it's kind of what I aspire to for sure, because I love playing all different genres. I don't just play one thing at all, just maybe because like I would find that boring, so I just play what I want to hear. But reading the crowd is so important, because sometimes you go to a night and it's like the first set and someone's playing like hard techno and there's only a few people there and no one's vibing because it's just not the right time for that. And you can just tell that DJ is just not paying attention. Because one of the main skills about being a DJ is you're the entertainer, and you've got to make people feel good, and you've got to make them want to dance, and you've got to like take them on a journey. And that doesn't mean just playing like the same tempo, the same type of music the whole way through, because I don't know, for me it's just not that stimulating to do that.
That's
kind
why
of
also
thing.
sometimes over-preparing doesn't work, because you might have prepared a set, maybe you even prepared it down to a T. So when I first started, I'd be like, right, I'm going to open with this, and then I'm going to play this. Then you get there, it's completely different, and you feel kind of awkward, and you feel like everyone's looking at you, and from those experiences you become better. Like, I'm not going to lie, I became a good DJ from being a shit DJ, and from all 4 parties as well. Sometimes when they're paying you nothing.
Playing to empty rooms as well.
Yeah, empty rooms. There's like 10 people there, or maybe they're being really rude and drunk and on drugs and complaining, or just being aggressive. And it's from those experiences that you actually learn. I know it sounds like it's difficult, but it's the best way to do it, I feel like, because you know it's going to get better from there, and you learn, because you're like, okay, next time I'm going to do this, or I'm going to avoid that promoter or whatever.
Yeah. Also, I feel like DJing's way more glorified than it actually is, because like, for all three of us, right, you'll see sort of the Instagram profile of like our DJ gigs and the best ones, but I can safely say for myself, and I reckon for you guys as well, like not every gig's like that.
Sometimes they suck.
Sometimes they suck. Like
they're depressing, some of them.
Yeah.
But you can never
the
show
crowd might
anyone
be like
that.
completely empty.
But you're not going to share that online, right? Because
Yeah.
people are going to be like, okay, I'm not booking her.
Yeah.
But even if you've been DJing for a while and you'll play like incredible parties that are packed out and everyone's just on the same level as you, you'll also still play like. Basically, a good example of this is like I just spent last week in New York and played like 3 of the most fun DJ sets ever. And right the day before I left for New York, I played a set in London, which was in this weird room in a festival behind another stage, and there was nobody in there, apart from a few like hardcore fans. And then I felt so cringy about it because they came to see me and there was no one else in the room, apart from people like trying to find the toilet. And so it just happens, you know, it's really up and down for sure.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Bear that in mind.
Yeah, you have those cringe moments
Yeah.
sometimes.
But yeah, it's character building, like you said.
That's what. Yeah, it is character building.
But yeah, what do you think? We should just like jump into some mixing?
Yeah. And if anyone, or unless anyone's got any questions
Yeah,
at this
we
point.
Yeah,
could,
go
like,
for
that
it.
would be good. I think
Yeah,
it'd
that
be
would
nice
be
to-
really great.
Let the mic.
Sorry, let's.
Oh,
the mic.
Can you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just asking, like, how does one keep finding good music or build their music library up, and what are some ways of, you know, discovering new music?
That's a really good question. What do you do? Oh.
Well, I just feel, you know, a lot of people ask me this, especially because of like the diversity of the music I play on my radio shows, and I play a lot of very rare sort of field recordings and things from around the world. And the first thing that always comes to my mind is that if you're an enthusiast, you'll find it, right? It's like whether you're into, I don't know, a certain author or a type of literature or music or bikes or whatever it is, like if you love that thing, you will find it. For me, in terms of finding music, I never use Spotify because as a recording artist, it's just really annoying to not get paid fairly from it. So I'm like, I'm not going to go on it. So I have got my iTunes. I just download all my music that I want to play. A lot, you know, now because I've been DJing and doing radio for so many years, I get sent a lot of music every single day by different artists or labels as promos. So that's one way, but I have to kind of set a certain time to go through all those emails and just like find some tunes I like. Sometimes, you know, if you listen to a track on YouTube, I actually think the suggested videos of, YouTube wormhole, such a good way of finding music. And in terms of finding, I don't know, also Shazam, I don't know if you guys have that here, but I'm always, that was the app before the apps. And because I love finding about the local music cultures in different countries, wherever I'm traveling. And so I always try and like visit music stores wherever I am. Another way which I find so insightful is that, you know, like if you get picked up from the airport before a gig or wherever you're going and you're in a taxi and those taxi drivers are from that place and they're in the car all day and they're listening to the radio all day, I always try and have a conversation with them about music recommendations or ask them to play me things. And I found a lot of cool music that way. And then also just visiting record stores and, you know, having friends who are also into music, you're always kind of like sharing tunes with each other. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of DJs, once they become, or maybe they start DJing, they forget to listen to other people's mixes, and that can be really inspiring as well. Once you sort of know what sort of genres you're into, I would listen to mixes from the DJs that I was actually buying music off, because they'd often do mixes of their own productions. And then I was also buying records, but then, like I said, that didn't become as practical for me in terms of the music that I was mixing. But now I feel like you can buy music quite easily. Like I personally, again, Spotify I don't like because it's an algorithm. It doesn't feel like, if you want to do it, it's cool, but it doesn't feel like an organic way to discover music if you're a DJ, because it's like curated for you by a robot, and then it's telling you what to do.
Yeah, and it's spying on you.
But I think now, like, you can actually buy a lot of the songs off iTunes. I know there's some people who be like, oh, the quality isn't good enough for a club, but it's better than a YouTube rip, right?
Yeah.
Bandcamp's so amazing because through that, I've discovered so much music, and again, through hearing other people's mixes, a lot of these songs are released on Bandcamp. They often have this thing called Bandcamp Friday. I don't know if you've heard of it, but 100% of the music goes to the producer, and I also feel like we are actually in a different, if we gave this talk like 2 years ago, it would have been different, because after lockdown, I just feel like that Bandcamp thing just changed, because so many people had to make music to survive, right? They had to make that 100% profit to like pay their rent that month, and a lot of amazing music came out of it. And it's way more accessible than it used to be, and I feel like it's increased the output, but not in like a kind of nuts, because that's how capitalism works, that they had to do that, but it's really cool that everyone's being creative, and no one had anything to do.
Yeah.
So I just feel like in the last 2 years it's been nuts. I always buy music, but yeah, I would say Bandcamp, if you checking out other people's mixes, Shazam's okay, but I don't like when people Shazam sets in the club, because I'm just like, and then obviously the more you DJ...
I just think it's a compliment if you see a little Shazam
but
phone.
your stuff's really obscure, like, I get it. But sometimes, if someone's made, sometimes also the more you DJ, like I said, your friends start making music and they give you tracks and send you music, and that really helps, like knowing other people and having like a pool of music. Like yesterday I had mixed a tune and I was like, I took down the name because I'm gonna buy it. Like, but again, if you want to steal music, that's up to you, yeah? I'm not going to judge you, but personally, when people rip stuff off my SoundCloud and they tag me and they're like, oh, in their track list, I'm like, that's weird, you're brave. But I don't know whether that's because I'm old now. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if I was like 19 years old right now, whether it's normal just to go on YouTube to MP3 or SoundCloud to MP3 and then take the music. And in a weird way, it's cool because I don't believe in ownership, but I believe in the originators getting paid. But I don't care if they steal my music, but I'm judging them, but I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have covered most things there. Like, I think if you like an artist, check out their mixes and like what labels are associated with that sound. I think like Twitter is actually really good. People on Twitter often just like tweet suggestions. And yeah, just like trying to branch out from that one song and the one artist and looking at what's associated with that and around it, just to discover different like genres and sub-genres, I think.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Oh, we got a couple more.
Yeah, go on. Sid, maybe.
Have you guys faced any like racial prejudices being South Asian in the music industry?
Any racial prejudices?
Yeah.
Well, we're brown and we live in England,
From our own
so
family.
take a guess.
That's all from my own family.
How have you dealt with it?
So my family don't acknowledge my profession, and they only found out about it 2 years ago, and that's only because I was on the BBC, legitimized it. Because they're like, oh, BBC, like, they are really amazed, like, it's just, and it doesn't, they're quite conservative, we're from Muddy, we're from the village, and by the time you move to the UK, everybody's, fully covered and stuff like that. And I feel like that prejudice was the hardest for me at first, because I'm just like, you want to impress your family and your elders, you want them to support what you're doing, and you want them to ask you questions about your job, but now obviously I'm coming out like as a DJ in the last like 2 years. But again, that's after over 10 years. So people don't talk to me because of it. That's actually the hardest thing. Don't get me wrong, like racial prejudice exists out there, but the stuff in my family, in my community, like that kills you because it's your own people.
Whereas like the London club scene's a bit of like an escape from
London
that.
club scene
Because for you,
so diverse.
in terms of racial discrimination.
And I also feel like a lot of the music we play is black music.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. And those producers and DJs are going to face plenty of prejudice as well. But me, myself, walking to a club, I will face more prejudice about the fact maybe that I'm a woman. The security guard might not believe that I'm a DJ, or maybe he'll automatically think I have attitude for saying the word, I'm a DJ. But again, I know, I'm like, I can pass as other ethnicities, and that's a privilege. Like, so Ahad's the guy who's a brown guy going to an airport, not me. I'm Portuguese at the airport, guys. Yeah.
Except when they ask your name, and then you're like,
I'm D'Souza.
I think the family thing is an interesting point to touch on as well, because like, my parents moved to the UK so that we could go to good universities, and they wanted me doctor bano, lawyer bano, accountant, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me to have become a DJ is a very big disappointment to them now. I'm joking. I studied chemistry. My mum was like, once you get your degree, you can do what you want.
Chemistry?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a real degree.
Yeah. So it's like, that's one side of things that you have to face, is like the pressure that you get from your family. And then I guess, the other side of thing, and a part of the reason that we started Dialed In and all of that kind of stuff is that there just isn't that many South Asian artists out there that are doing all different types of music. they're more so just associated with, I don't know, like when I was growing up, I remember specifically having this conversation with my mum, and she was just like, you know, what other brown DJs is there? Like Nihal was the one, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like we needed more.
Bobby Friction.
Nihal and Bobby Friction, who were both on BBC Asia Network. And I felt like, you know, I can't maybe not relate to that. There must be some other ones out there. So that's kind of why we did it. But when it comes to actual, discrimination in the club, I think nowadays is not tolerated because it's like, you know, you just...
Things have changed so much just even in the last 5 years.
Yeah, with the whole like safe space thing with that as well. Like, I feel like personally, like I have cousins who are fine going to purely desi raves, like Bhangra raves and stuff like that, but they're not safe. Like they're gonna get touched up or something, and I feel like a lot of the spaces that exist outside of those scenes, they're trying to be more mindful of the fact that, okay, this person, just because she's a girl doesn't mean she wants to talk to you. This person's gay or trans, like deal with it. And that's been a big thing in the past 4 or 5 years. We're obviously not 100% there yet, but it's progressive and
it's just way more diverse as well. Because I think back to when I first started on NTS, which was 9 years ago now, it's quite long, it was so different. Just even the roster of DJs on that station, it was just all white guys. And I think it was me and Debonair were like the only brown females on there. But now there's so much more. So I feel like everything's been democratized a lot by the internet and people just like finding their own communities. And also, if you just think about it like on a sort of grassroots level, most people are chilled and nice. But then there have been scenarios, I think, on a more sort of music industry level, especially because I think of the world that I operate in more with like, I don't know, the selecting and vinyl and also, you know, making music and releasing on a label like Ninja Tune, which is such a kind of like trip hop like label, you know. When they put out my first record, that was the first time that I had to deal with so much abuse online, and I was like, oh my god, like, okay, this is trolling and this is really bad. So I just stopped reading the comments. And that's racist review. And I got racist reviews. I mean, there's always going to be those kind of things because also it's like this weird kind of gatekeeper ownership like vibe where they're just like, sorry, you're not allowed to do this. But you just have to not think about it because if you dwell on it, then it's just too negative and you're never going to get past it. And at the end of the day, you just got to think, well, for me anyway, the way I think about it is, well, so far so good. I'm doing what I want to do, and I've got like a really supportive fan base, and I'll just do it for them. And if people are out there and they want to come to my DJ sets or listen to my radio shows or listen to my music, that's all I really care about. So you have to not dwell on the negatives, but of course it's there because if you think about the music industry, it's still run by white men.
Yeah, and there's this colonial mentality hasn't left, right? It's like, oh, look at this box of treasures that I collected from around the world, and I'm going to get paid like a ridiculous amount to show it off and like exhibit it, and that's still there. There's those kind of guys that are out here, and 100%, it's a privilege for them that they're just like, oh, a rich white dude, and that's why they have access to different cultures that maybe they shouldn't have access to, and it's crazy because it's through their gaze that people consume it, and I just feel like that's never left. But things are definitely changing. Like it's crazy how many it was only men. Like people still use the phrase female DJ, which is like disgusting. DJing was really funny. That was the throwback. DJing.
I literally had an article last month that was calling me a DJ, and I was like, please change that. And then it's like, you still have to
DJing, like the name Jane right now. DJing, that's a female DJ. That's
we
what
need
they
to
used
come up
call
with
them.
the brown version of DJ.
Yeah. And even now people are like, top 10, like female DJs, best female. Especially, it's like I do a lot of like very South Asian centered parties that only play like, I do a lot of club and bass parties as well, but I also pivot into like, you know, Bhangra and Bollywood parties. They always use the phrase female DJ, and like, it's so unprogressive. Or they'll be like, yo, best female DJ out there. And I'm like, there's literally no need. And I feel like that's just, it grosses me out. So if anyone here, don't use that word.
Exactly. Also, it's one of the reasons that I started using my real name, because when I first released music and started DJing, it was for fun, and I never thought of it as a career, and I just had the moniker Throwing Shade, and it was just something I picked. And then as the music and everything started picking up, and I was thinking more about identity and who I am, and also just I started receiving messages from different people, not just South Asians, but all different ethnicities. People just saying like, oh, it's great to see you doing what you're doing and like representing. And then I just thought, okay, this is like part of something bigger. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just start using my real name, Nabihah Iqbal, because when you think about mainstream music or alternative music, you know, the stuff that you hear, how many South Asian names do you see? Like, there are literally...
And then how many Pakistani names?
And how many Pakistani...
Yeah, within that, yeah.
Because literally it would be like MIA and Zayn Malik, and that's about it.
And Zayn Malik did a lot, can I just say?
Yeah, Zayn Malik did a lot.
Zayn Malik did a lot for
Zayn.
Pakistanis in the UK,
I know.
so shout out to Zayn Malik.
Yeah.
But
that's
that was
how
a bit of representation that
but
we
it was
got.
like quite a brazen move, and even some of my really close friends, you know, who are up front with me, they're like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because people might not want to book you because they don't want to see
And
like
they
a
will say your
Muslim
name
name
wrong
on
as
it."
well.
Yeah, they'll say my name wrong, or you know, the big music festivals in the UK and Europe, like you don't see ethnic names on there. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it and see what happens because it felt right, and I just wanted to like just be upfront about who I am and not be like fall behind the ethnically ambiguous thing or whatever, because we need more
I think
Pakistani.
like that's how we met. Like, you know, so Nabihah put out a post on Facebook saying like, is there any other Pakistani DJs out there? And then anyone out there?
There was like 3 at that time, maybe.
It's still probably 3.
I think it was very like North Indian dominated in the UK.
Yeah, it
like,
still is. It still is way more
in like the
Indians.
Asian scenes.
Yeah,
like,
and then someone tagged me, and then we just met up for a pizza, and then it was just like, you know what I mean? So,
I know, because like it's just so surreal for us 3 to now be here.
yeah, it's amazing.
And also, I just need to say, like, on this whole thing about talking about racism and different dynamics in the whole industry. So normally, every time I come to Pakistan, I'm just chilling with my grandparents, and they never knew anything about what was going on here. And then last year on one of the trips, started connecting with people like Hira and Moiz at District 19, and the KCR guys, and Manu Laila, and just kind of like getting a little feeling of what the music scene's like in Pakistan. And it was really... yeah, like really humbling, and it's so amazing that it's happening. And also think in this day and age where everything's being democratized by the internet, it really is, that it's important to like create your own space and just own it and not pander to like the West or like trying to be something else, because there's no need for it anymore, because like everyone's got their own power, like there's your own power in just having your own space. And we're seeing that, you see that even across like different European countries, because before everyone just looked to the UK, right? But now you see like really interesting scenes in countries like Portugal and Spain and Greece, and like everyone's just doing their own thing. And then you see it further abroad as well in other countries. And I mean, like it seems like there's loads going on in India as well. They've really sort of established their own thing. And so I just think it's important to just keep that momentum going and build your own thing. And I was talking to Ahad a bit earlier today, trying to think, maybe you guys have some insight on this, but is there any sort of like online magazine or platform that showcases Pakistani youth culture or music? Because I couldn't think of any, and I'm wondering if there is one. Okay, Masiki.
okay.
Yeah. Because it would be cool to see more of that as well. Because I know there's a really interesting one for the Middle East called Vasta, and they post loads of different creative stuff about, you know, like across all the disciplines. And I feel like Pakistan has so much to offer. Like our musical heritage is insane. The artistic heritage is insane. Like, you know, it would just be cool to share more of that with the rest of the world, so they're not all stereotyping us as terrorists. Because literally, that's what we have to deal with. Yeah.
I feel like you've been waiting to answer your question.
Sorry.
You've been very patient.
You set us up with the racism question.
Yeah, and then we just bitched about our own family and our own community. But you know what? Maybe that's just relatable.
The self-hate.
Yeah. It's not self-hate.
No. Also, I need to say that my family has actually been cool.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm just the cliche. I know not every Pakistani family's like this.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you got to
not everyone's the
appreciate,
same.
acknowledge the nuance within the diaspora and within people that are first generation. There's so much different stuff that not all Pakistani British Muslims are the same. Like,
we're not all practicing. But
exactly.
But I do feel like there is a conservative element personally, because we're overcompensating, because a lot of people do overcompensate because they really want to hold on to their heritage.
Yeah.
That like when I'm coming here, I've already seen and heard stuff that I would never hear Pakistanis like say or do in the UK, and I feel like that's really liberating here. So that's really really cool for you guys. But yeah, do you want to ask a question? Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I had a bit of a mentality question when you're playing, because I get very finicky when I'm recording my mixes at home or if I'm playing a gig, and like if I make a mistake and it's not like absolutely perfect, it really messes with my head in the moment, and like I end up losing my vibe a lot of the times.
Okay.
So like, as people who obviously have much more experience than I do, how do you deal with that? Like, for example, like, do you just call it experimenting and move on, or do
you own it, man. Listen, life is not a fucking grid on Ableton. Yeah,
That's when you're recording. That's when you're recording a mix, right?
Oh, recording? Okay.
Like, if I'm at home, I'll like.
Okay, if you really care about it afterwards, right, you can edit it or style it out with
Yeah.
like an echo or something. But also just remember, like, life is messy. Like, in the club, if anyone's there, say when it comes to also doing it live, if anyone's there to judge you, they can go home. Everyone's there to party. Absolutely nobody's taking notes unless they're like.
Some guys will be
people
taking
do.
notes.
Some people
They'll
will
be
do
like,
and be like, oh my god, she did this, or you're redlining or whatever.
But who cares?
Who
Because they're the
about
ones
them?
taking notes and you're the ones playing the
Yeah.
tunes. So
Life is like you just go with the flow, and those little moments, I get what you mean, because you feel flustered, right? You feel like your face is like, oh, and when things don't match, it's not nice for your soul and your brain and your heart, because it doesn't feel like there's harmony. But that's also life. Like, you just move on to the next one. Like we said, like, it's a learning experience, or
Yeah.
baptism of fire even, when you do a bad gig even.
Yeah.
Same thing with like a blend. You get in your head, and the problem with doing mixes at home, and I find it's even sometimes with
happen
live
now,
streams,
right?
yeah.
Like pre-recorded
You're
mixes
facing
is-
a wall.
Yeah.
The club is so much easier because you're like, oh, they will love this one, they'll
Yeah.
love that one, and you're going in the moment, you're feeding off people's energy and the vibe they're giving off. When you're just playing to a wall in your bedroom, and you have your own personal issues, and you're just in your head, and someone texts you and distracts you, it's different, and you overthink it. But if you really want, you can easily fix that afterwards, and I think people do that, or you can just do it, I just think the best thing to do though is move on from that and focus on making everything else you're doing amazing, but also absolutely nothing in this life should be perfect personally, and a bit of chaos is good and you own it, I personally think, as art or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I think like from a practical perspective, one thing I learned is that like if you're halfway through the mix and you fuck up, then don't start all the way from the beginning. Just take that bit, put it into Audacity or Ableton or Logic, and then start from that song that you messed up on, and then just stitch it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was really helpful.
What
But I
do
think
you record?
I had the overthinking thing
Yeah. Yeah.
all through
Everyone
lockdown
has
because
it.
we were doing all our radio remotely and pre-recording it, and I hate it. So now I avoid doing pre-recorded mixes.
what do you record your mixes on?
Usually it's like virtual DJ, and I just press record, and then like. If I
Okay.
And then you take it.
Yeah, so just save that bit until then, and then put it away, and then start from there.
Yeah, it's really easy to stitch it up.
Yeah.
It's like,
If you make a mistake live, and like.
Own it.
You can't do anything
Move
about
on.
it, right? It's already
That's
done.
life. That's life, and absolutely, literally no one cares.
No
if
one
they
cares.
do, who cares? We've done so many live streams.
People who care are lame. Do you know what I mean?
We've done so many live streams, boiler rooms, all that stuff. People, I never watch them back because I don't want to.
Yeah, don't read the comments,
I'll never
especially
read
when
the
you're a
comments.
girl.
I just
Oh
don't
my
care.
God.
It's in the ether. I've given my thing, and also it helps you think less about your ego because it's not that deep. It's literally DJing. Like, you shouldn't really hold on to those moments. I get it. It feels embarrassing, right?
It feels bad.
But no one cares. Everyone forgets. And the best way actually, say you said bad mix, but if it's a bad gig, best way to erase that memory is go smash it at the next one.
Yeah.
Or like it's literally, and then you completely forget that you had this awful experience.
It's just nothing's good all of the time.
Any job is
I
like
get
that.
it worse because I do, for DJing, I've been doing it for so long. I don't know, it's a different vibe, but when I'm performing my own music, I get so nervous doing a live gig and having to sing and play and whatever else. And then there's times where I feel like I didn't perform as well as I could, and then I come off the stage and I'm just that horrible, embarrassed but horrible cringy feeling you get, and you're dwelling on the bad things. But then I read this book and there was this thing in it being the worst thing to be is a regretful artist. And I was like, that's so true. Because no one wants to hear you moaning about oh, I should have done that bit better, or why did I make that mistake? Because no one else is analyzing it the way you do. And at the end of the day, it's the bigger picture is that hopefully the rest of it was okay. Or if that one wasn't good, hopefully the next one will be better.
Yeah, I think that's the key as well, though. There should always be a next one. I think you should just keep doing it, even if you have a bad one, and just keep doing it consistently and put out mixes consistently on the internet or wherever it is. We're going to go into marketing a bit later, but I think that's one of the main things that I found helped me grow a lot is that I've been doing a radio show monthly for that many years, and slowly, you just learn more and more. And it's not that be-all, end-all of that one. It's going to
Yeah, and you're always going to be your biggest critic.
Yeah.
That's just how humans are. But if you decenter yourself in your moment and realize how everyone else sees it, 99 times out of 100 it's going to be not like that. And if they are, they're a hater anyway. So,
Yeah,
Cool.
we don't care about the haters.
What should we do next?
Well, was anyone else going to ask something? I thought I saw something.
Yeah,
Okay,
any more
cool.
questions?
Okay,
How are we doing
cool.
for time? Huh?
Yeah?
All right.
Do you want to load up the tracks from it's an Untitled playlist here?
So how are we doing this?
Should we quickly do it interesting? I don't know if
I
you guys
think
are
maybe we
familiar
should
with
do a
Rekordbox
demo
as well.
first.
Yeah.
So this is Rekordbox. Today we're actually using a controller, but usually in the UK, most of the clubs all around the world, it would mostly be CDJs.
But this is probably one of the closest, well, because it's Pioneer, it's very similar to a CDJ setup,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And you can get obviously other brands controllers as well. And then here I have like a gazillion playlists from over the years.
This is
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Because we're gonna have people. We're gonna have people come around and have a mix anyway. So
Yeah.
if you want to come now, you can come now.
Yeah,
so.
we can show you the basics of this on the big screen as well.
Yeah, from scratch. Maybe we should
Yeah,
say
start from
like
scratch.
Okay, so
start from scratch.
So say
Let's go through each of them. But I think
no, maybe just explain like how you get the tracks, how you put them on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have all these tracks that I've bought or I have been sent, and here I would literally to make a.
So you need to download the Rekordbox program.
Yeah, so
which
this
you
is called
get free.
Rekordbox. I would literally make a playlist by.
you literally drag and drop from iTunes, for example.
and create a new playlist. And so say I want to, let's hope this works because my computer's old. This is another thing, guys. Technology is like not always obedient, but that's just life. And then I would drag it from iTunes, or it could be on a USB anywhere into the playlist. And then to export it to a USB, which I would do, I would just right-click it and then export to USB. But in this case, you don't need to do that because we have a controller, and the advantage of that is, this is why some people do prefer Serato controllers. You have your whole library on your laptop. Personally, I don't like that because in the club, people could spill drinks on your equipment and your laptop, and you're liable for that, not the club. And you might break it or something on the way. Now, assuming we've built a playlist of all the tracks that you guys want to play, they're now in here. And the great thing about this is just like any other music program, it profiles it by artists, blah, 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 but also BPM.
So yeah, what is BPM?
You go for that one. Beats per minute.
Yeah, so beats per minute, it's just the tempo of the track. A lot of house music runs at around 120 to 130. And yeah, so like you want to mix tracks of the same tempo into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't really mix like something that's
Unless
like
you double it or half
85
it.
to 130.
Or if it's
gonna
like
be
hip
really
hop, you
tricky.
can do like juggling and stuff, but that's a different style of mixing.
Yeah.
So basically, when you import all the music from your iTunes, you know, what I do is like I make a playlist in iTunes, put all my music, then drag all of that into a playlist here, and then Rekordbox analyzes all the tracks, and then you put them you load them onto your USB from there. And if you're DJing, you like just starting, like don't try and do it without that. Because when I first started using CDJs, I was like just putting the music on USBs without going through Rekordbox. And then it's way more tricky because like the CDJs don't analyze the tracks properly. Or, like
You can work it out sometimes with like tapping. Or, like, there's also an app that I used to cheat with before before Rekordbox was a
tempo
thing.
app.
Yeah, you would just like, so you do that to the beat, and it would tell you what the average. But obviously, the more you DJ, the more you get better at hearing this stuff by ear. Like you use this kind of as a guide. And then you can also sort it by BPM, which really helps. If you're like, rapidly scrolling in the club. And what we've done here is just sort of given you guys a selection of what we think would be good tunes to practice with, like house and 4/4 music with sort of a simple structure to help you practice. So it's not just about like getting the perfect blend or whatever, but it's easy to learn. Especially, I find that Ahad's music is really good for like practicing with because it has like a long drum intro, and it's like it helps. So I'll show you guys how we drag. Then this is how you would do it if you're using this controller.
Yeah. Any questions like right now, just please ask straight. I don't want it to be like we're just talking at you.
Yeah, literally
please.
just feel free.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
house
there's
music's the
instrumental
easiest
elements to it. Yeah.
to mix. Because if you think about it, like everything's just like equal, and the kick drum's like always on the same beat. Whereas if you start I don't know, music like disco or funk, like it gets a bit more complicated, you've got to listen closer. But if you're just starting and it's your first thing you want to practice, then it's the easiest thing. And basically, like, it is super easy. And once you do that, then you can just explore. And I think a really important thing to remember is don't feel like, oh, I must stick to this type of music first and learn how to mix these and then do something else. Just go for it. If something comes into your head and you want to try it out, just mess around.
Yeah.
Even it's the same rule for production, just mess around, because sometimes that's the best way of discovering things and teaching yourself. So like, just go with whatever you feel like. Because when you're practicing, you can do whatever you like.
Yeah, but house music is good because there's instrumental elements that are designed for the DJ to mix in and out of.
Yeah.
And actually, some commercial DJs actually do that. They'll build themselves a house intro and outro to make it easier, because the vocal obviously can complicate things when you're starting out. You're like, whoa. But I feel like house is easier to teach with.
Yeah, because I started mixing with electronic music, and I was just pushed into the scene to play commercial music, So that's really hard for me to mix commercial music.
Yeah.
But there's little tricks, like you can, if there's like, because there's no intro to a track, it might just go straight into a vocal or something. With this, you can just loop the first 4 bars, say, for example, and just bring that in slowly and maybe loop the other one. But yeah, that maybe would take...
I've done some commercial parties and like wedding sort of things, and I've just accidentally sort of ended up in that world. And I find that those parties, that sort of set for me personally actually requires the most preparation, because it's not designed for a DJ, unless you're like, some people obviously like to scratch stuff in, but that's not my style. That's how they would get around that, because they just do the wicka and like bring it in. But I feel like you should know the song inside out if you're playing commercial music. Yeah. You should know which bits of it you want to maybe loop at the start, and because it drops pretty much straight away, right? Whereas with dance music, it's a build up to the drop. Yeah. And that's what's hard about but that's why I respect commercial DJs. That's a skill. So big up.
Yeah. And also, you don't have to mix everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you just want to drop a track, just drop it. Because I do that all the time, because sometimes I'm going through something and then I like having like a break, like a palate cleanse, and then just take something in a new direction. And there's loads of ways to learn how to do that smoothly as well, because a controller or a lot of effects on it, and
so
you
can
learn
just
how
echo
to
something out, for example.
Yeah, and just drop a track in.
You can even rewind it, like,
Also, do you think using crossfader is cheating?
No, not
at all. I feel like
Loads of people use crossfader.
A lot of people that I would call like real DJs that I think are really technically skilled, they're always using this. I actually personally don't use it. I'm more like using these faders, but the crossfader going left to right, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
I think if it sounds good, then there's no such thing as
and
cheating,
also,
to be honest.
people
there's no right way.
Yeah.
Literally no right way. Yeah. We've got this list of songs that we think would be really cool for you guys to get hands on with.
Maybe we should do the first demo.
Yeah.
But I guess like Reese, when you were saying start from scratch, maybe like, but you'll have to see it, so it wouldn't make sense if you can't see it.
I'll show you how you literally will drag the song you're playing. Where's your song? So you literally drag the song to the deck that you want to play off. And now it's playing already. And now that's aligning with this left side of the deck. And then if I drag a track onto the right, it's going to be that. Do you want to pick a song to go into? This one. This is Ahad's edit, and I feel like it's... Yeah, turn it down.
Sorry, go on. That's fine. Yeah, so that's dragged into that.
Yeah.
So you can see like the different tempos. So this one's playing at 127, and the one he's just loaded in is at 123. So either you're going to have to... the easiest way is like the one that's going to come in, you bring that up so it's the same tempo. So you bring... You can change it before you play.
So you can also change it on. You can change it on here, so you can see. And you can actually add. We've got it on +6 right now, so you can increase it or minus it by 6. So you can
change that too. So sometimes you can like make things way slower or faster.
Yeah. So I was going to double. So now I have to make it +10.
That's going to suit the track.
Oh, as in like so he's clicking it. So now I can make it even faster. You can do +16, and if you want to go, you can also have limitless, so that you could speed up a crazy track and then like slow it down for like dramatic effect.
But it has to be basically the same tempo when you're bringing the next track.
Yeah, for sure.
This track.
So this is like a...
I just...
This is an edit, so I found an a cappella. which is just the voice, and then took a loop of that and then just produced the drum.
Yeah, but it's really good to like help people teach because, like I said, Ahad's edits and tunes, some of them have a really cool drum intro. And then some of them, like for example, there's another one that we were like, oh, we're not going to teach with that one because it's kind of more complicated. But it's easy, some of them are like easy to mix.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you were saying as well about like, we were talking about weird gigs and stuff. I actually find some of your edits are really helpful if I'm having like a bad moment, like where I can't read. I'm just like, okay, bangers, drums, and a vocal, like timeless formula. So well done for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if we make the tempo of the second song the same, but also we can just literally do that here. And again, if you wanted to be, you could speed this one up easily. So let's just do 130. Also, don't get obsessed with it being like really precise.
Yeah.
Because also once you...
You have to really listen. Sometimes that's not right.
Sometimes they're off, sometimes it's completely off, and then that's how you
have
get
to
good.
hear it.
You get good at like nudging and then...
Don't use the think button either, because that sometimes thinks it in a weird way, and then you're not really doing anything. So I never use the think button.
Yeah.
I think it's good to practice without it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So let's show them how.
And then, you know, it's good on record box and it's the same on CDJs. It shows you the whole track formation that at the top, the waveform.
So you know what's coming
so you can
up,
see the loud bits and the quiet bits. And so maybe you want to play like the first section of Ahad's track, and then when it breaks down, that could be a good point to bring in a new beat or something, you know, the next track.
And you can also loop it. So by pressing this button on the deck, I've now made a trigger so that I can always go back to that point and say there's a part of a song that you really love, or you know you need to mix out before this part of the song is. You can mark it in so that, and they'll load up on there. You'll always see it says A and B, and it's really good visual marker because say you're already flustered in the club or whatever, you know, okay, this part of the song is coming up, and I've pre-prepared it and I've marked this. It's called a hot cue. And there's ways to also do it in the club as well. That's, I guess, a bit more complicated.
Yeah, exactly. But so a hot cue is basically like, so the two main buttons here are the play button and the cue button. And if you press Q, it will just take you back to the beginning, the first cue point you've got. So yeah.
Yeah,
so that's the hot
cue. You can set that all even before you start playing the track.
So if you want to set a cue point here, you can drag it along and just be like Q, and that's your cue point.
That's where it's going to start from. That's a really good thing to know, because sometimes you want to miss out the intro, or you want to start like on a different beat, or where the vocal comes in, you know, and loop that. So you'll end up using that a lot.
You can also make these hot cues into loops really easily. So you can just mix in with a loop, which is really helpful with acapellas and like just teasing people in. But I guess we can...
Or if you're running out of time and you haven't decided on the next track.
Yeah, that too. So do you see how I made the end of his track a loop? That's really helpful when you're like, oh my God, this track got deleted off my USB, or I haven't got this song I want to play. People are still vibing to like the last like 20 seconds of that song because if you looped it, and they won't know. Like they literally won't know.
So I guess it'd be good to be like, how would you mix in that tune into that one?
Yeah, so should we start again? And then,
Can I have a go?
Me?
Yeah.
It's your track.
All right, cool. So I'd wait for a while because it hasn't even dropped yet.
Are you going to use headphones?
I wouldn't mix it in yet, just yet. But yeah, like I was talking about with the cues, I'd drag this over to or you'd listen in your ears.
Yeah, you'd listen in your headphones.
Because you might not have this visual reference in the club, but right now you can kind of cheat and look at the beginning of the waveform. So like I showed you, I'll just drag this over to the beginning of this, and then I can hear it in my ears. You won't be able to hear what I can hear in my ears, but I can just show you. It's this. So that's what I'm listening to in my ears and being like, right, when am I going to put that in? So I'll be like, and then maybe I'll just leave it turned up so you can hear what I'm hearing in my headphones. So yeah, I'd kind of wait a little bit because this is the main drop. Everyone's going fucking mad. And then I again keep waiting. You also want to take note of how long the intro of the second track is, because that's how much time you've got before you want to drop that one. So actually, I'd probably make a loop of the intro for this one, because it's only like 16 bars long. So you've got a little bit more time. and then so you can see that's a little bit off, so you have to just give it a nudge. That's a vocal over a vocal, which is not something you want to do.
I think it works.
Nah. So I think one of the first things that I got told is you should never be playing two vocals at the same time, which is you would disagree with.
Yeah, I just think you can do it sometimes.
You can do it
Yeah.
sometimes,
There's
but
no
it's
rules.
tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah. So I think it would be good for everyone to maybe have a go. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? You guys on it?
If you want to have a go, you don't have to.
Yeah, if you just want to
Yeah.
watch as well, that's
What are you saying?
other tracks.
Okay. I
You're
feel
not
like
the
there
first,
was a
you're
couple.
now the second.
I'm the first and I
Yeah.
messed up, so yeah. I think
but
it's
it's
like
fine,
I think
'cause
we need to forget about like
No one cares.
there's no mistakes.
Everyone's here for the same
Honestly,
reason.
like I literally just made a mistake in front of you and it didn't matter. So
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pick a non-vocal.
yeah.
Yeah, just pick
But
two
more of you
like
come around as well,
maybe
so you can see.
Atmospheric beats
Yeah.
into deep
And
inside.
deep inside.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Mix two tracks at one time.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean some
yes.
people mix 4 tracks.
If there's 3 decks, you can mix 3 tracks at
Yeah,
once.
so,
Yeah.
That's
So
way
let's
more
do
fun.
deep inside as
Yeah.
the first
And
track,
atmospheric
and then
beats.
atmospheric
And
beats.
if you don't want to go first, if there's anyone who's a little bit more experienced who wants to go first, then that, yeah? You want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
I think just so you don't want to be the first one, that's fine. All right. So yeah, just go for it. So also I'll put this in the middle.
Yeah. So we're going to play the track on the right first. Yeah. What's coming up here now?
What?
Oh no. Anyone know about sound here?
Wait, yeah.
It's now playing from the laptop.
Is it?
Is it?
Or is it just not loud?
It's not coming out.
Coming from your laptop.
That's so weird.
That's looped as well. So it can come out looped.
Is it supposed to?
I think it's fine. No, I think it's fine.
Is it actually? Oh.
Let me go this way. Can you hear it out there?
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming out here as well.
Okay, that's fine. Ignore that.
So
Maybe we want to turn that.
Okay, so maybe you want to like talk through.
Okay. So now we want to find the start of this track, and I've made it. If you make it the same speed as on this fader, yeah, so the speed is there.
I'm gonna stand here.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the same. Normally in the club on the decks, it actually won't be this precise. It'll be more like 20, as opposed to 60. That's kind of extra. And then what you want to do is now you want to find the start of that track, which is obviously you have the visual cue here. So you have it there. Can you hear it in your headphones? Yeah. So the best way. Anyone that maybe that hasn't you did it before, right? You did it before, right? For anyone who maybe isn't familiar, you would count the track in. So you'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'd always play the track on the 1.
Yeah.
Unless you're like super crazy talented genius who can somehow make it work another way. That's just how musical structure and brains work.
Yeah.
And-
I think that's the key thing. Can
Yeah.
you guys hear me? So it's like the 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3.
And then you do it on the 1, yeah?
2,
So you usually just go Q, 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 and then when I bang it on the 1,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
So
yeah.
does that make sense? The 1, 2, 3,
If you
4?
can dance,
Yeah.
if you can dance, you get it though. If you dance
Yeah,
ever in your
you can
life,
feed
you
back.
understand music
Okay.
at that level. Like you get, you know what I mean? If you listen to music, you know more
You'll know
about it than you
it'll
think.
be internalized.
Yeah.
Like,
Like-
I think yeah, all music has got it.
Yeah, but all music
But-
that we'll mix is all going to be like structured like
The
that.
reason house is called 4/4 is that's the time signature. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, and you do it. You press play on the 1. So it's like.
But
1,
not just
2, 3,
anyone. So this
4,
is another thing. Within these 4s also exist within
16 and 32.
within other multiples of 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So see how we're like 2, 3, 4, 1. You wouldn't necessarily do it there.
Because it's in the middle of 32.
Exactly. So actually, this is a good way to talk about it. It's good to start thinking about it initially as segments of 16 and 32, and within that segments of 4. So after those first 16 or 32 bars.
Yeah. So that's a good way of thinking about it. Do it on the drop.
Yeah.
And then
like that would have been a great time just there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think can you hear it in the headphones? Yeah. So if you put a track, if you press play on the drop, and your intro is 32 bars long, then you've got that 32 bars to mix it in until the next drop comes in.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh yeah, and also the mixer. You guys aren't familiar.
Oh, yeah,
so what's your name again? Hassan. So what Hassan is doing? Wow, that's flawless.
Yeah.
So like obviously he's done it before, but what he did while playing it cool, acting like that wasn't a big deal, was this is important to talk about what's in the mixer, is the highs, the mids, the lows.
You can see them on the screen there as well.
Yeah, so what you never want to do is have two basses, two lows, which is essentially the bass line, and that's the bit that your body connects with a lot.
Because
you don't really want two of those.
At the same time, then it's too much.
Occasionally someone might not notice, but it's just not good, and it's also much easier to mix as well because you haven't got two clashing frequencies.
Yeah, so then you might want to start fading out that one.
Yeah, and then
the other one. No, don't have both basses up at the same time.
So you see how it's quite dramatic when
it's too much. It'll just sound really
But you see how like the bass line's quite distinct on this. So like you notice it when it comes in and out. And this is the other bass line now.
It's a smooth way to bring it in.
Yeah, exactly. That's when people know it's a new track because they're like, whoa, they lose it, right? Because the bass has now dropped. And the highs and the mids are much as part of it as well, but the bass is the bit that makes you go like, oh my God, if you think about how you feel when you hear like a bass heavy track. So that's why they shouldn't clash, and the bass line's often quite distinct.
I think
both can't be bass heavy.
They can be, but just make sure you turn the bass off of the song that you're about to mix in, and then when you drop it, that's when you switch the basses.
Yeah, I think an important thing that a lot of people when they're starting out don't ever use is the gains. So even if you've got these both on full volume, sometimes they won't be the same volume because
the track might be old or
yeah,
bad.
there might be some people the way they master things, they make them really loud, and some people not as loud. So to adjust for that, you want to adjust these, the ones at the top, which is the trim, which is literally the same as the volume, but it's like a second one, rather than adjusting this up and down.
Sometimes you can even see visually. Just as I said visually that happened, that's evil eye. But sometimes you can even see visually, not in this case, but the waveform can be a lot smaller than the other songs, which means that it's a quiet song, which means that, like Ahad said, you have to turn it up from here. But you don't want to turn it up too much, then it will sound really distorted, and it won't translate well to speakers, and it just doesn't sound good.
Key, that's a really good thing to touch on. So basically, like, I think if you, especially in house music, if you mix two tracks and they're in a different key, then it sounds like, it just doesn't sound nice.
But you kind of pick out a knack for it, I feel like,
Yeah.
through practice. It's not, even though you can learn it.
But there's that thing
wheel.
called the wheel, I don't know if you guys know of it. It's called mixed in key, and it's just like a wheel which just
Do you
helps
use that?
I don't use it.
I'm too lazy to do stuff like that.
No, because I think I wanted to develop an ear for it, where I think
Totally.
if things sound nice together, then they sound nice together.
You might even be DJing somewhere, say a friend's party or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, you know what? This song would sound amazing over this. Think about how you sing along to songs,
Yeah.
or you and your friends might make up a song sometimes when you're like hanging out. You sing over a beat, so you know when to start singing. Same way you know when to dance. That's in you already.
Yeah.
And that's also what we're using with DJing. So I'm like, oh my God, I want to play this over this. Yeah.
The key, like in here, you can hear
I never do though, do you?
Wait, how do you do that?
I didn't know you could do that.
So basically, this MT stands for master tempo.
Oh,
and if you
press that.
If you press that, then
Then it
it
doesn't
means
change.
it doesn't change.
No, it doesn't change.
It doesn't
So, like,
change.
yeah.
So if you have master
the key,
tempo on,
so basically, like if you don't have master tempo, when you make the track slower, it's going to sound lower, and then when you make it, I don't know where the master tempo button is on this. Yeah, then or like if you make it fast, it's going to be like, you know. So if you keep the master tempo on, which is what I do, because otherwise, like when you're changing the tempos, it changes the track too much, and you just learn to mix as the track sounds and then what goes with what. I
You
find
want to come through that?
yeah, if you don't have empty on, then it changes. If you have the master tempo button on, then it won't change.
So that's, it's the one on the
So
left.
that's, I always
volume.
just
Yeah,
keep
if
it
you want
on.
to just play
so
around
just
with all the buttons.
change.
Just, like, fuck
Because
around.
sometimes by mistake
that,
we'll have it
don't
off
worry.
and then I'll make a
Yeah,
track
fuck
like
around, fuck around.
10 or 15 BPM faster than
mainly
it is,
just
and then I'll
needs to
play
be
it and I'll be like, oh my god, it sounds like a chipmunk.
So that's like
So
the
you
bass.
don't want to do that. And also then you kind of like just learn your music and you get to know the tracks and what works with what. So
That's the speed.
the
up and
most
down.
important thing, right, is just feeling
if
it
you wanna
and
do
just
that one.
having a go and not worrying too much.
Just slowing it
Because
down.
because think about like when you dance in the club, right, like
slowing
you're feeling the music, it's getting
Oh,
in
it
your
shows
body.
there on
And
the-
you just
that
have to
number
be
there.
like that as
Yeah.
a DJ as well.
So yes,
And then just
speed
be
it
like,
all the way
okay,
up,
yeah, this
slow it all
sounds
the way
good.
down.
Oh, it will sound cool if
And
I
then-
add like a bit of vocal from the next
So if you
track.
press Q,
No,
That's
the
slow,
whole
it's-
thing about practicing is that's where you
that's
discover,
fastest.
and also that's where you
And then so
discover
if you
your own
press
style
Q,
as well.
it will
Because
go right
you'll be
to
like,
the beginning
oh,
of the
okay,
track.
I like playing these kind of things together.
if you press
or
play,
I like
yeah,
playing
so
loads
do
of
the
different
Q
kind of
again.
stuff, whatever.
So
Like you just
to get
discover
how
that.
the Q
and
works,
it works out.
if you hold it down, it will keep playing. If you stop it, then it will stop playing.
But I think
So
different
that's how
people are
when you're
asking us
listening to
questions.
do it for the next track, you go
What happening?
We're not allowed to talk at the
like
same
that.
time.
So yeah, if you want to just press play. So now you got this one playing. That's the first
But
track.
isn't it
Actually,
being
it'd be
recorded on
easier
separate channels?
to start with that one. Yeah.
Because we've got
so
three
that one's
mics.
down. So you want to turn it up. Yeah. So that will make sense in a minute
Midnight.
once you start to listen in your headphones. So yeah, put that all the way up, and then press play.
Sorry.
And then turn the bass up.
Yeah, so that's the bass there.
Yeah.
Bottom one is the
Because
bass.
it would be.
So you can do
Should I
so
just
that's
take my
all the
mic?
way
Just
up.
ignore this bottom one for now.
Yeah.
I just turn it
Yeah,
off
there we
now.
go.
Not all the way.
The thing is, like,
so
some
that means
people
all the
want
way.
to
Basically. Do you know what I mean?
That's always the max it should go, unless like it's...
Should I turn mine
So
off?
now you grab the headphones. So now you'll be able to hear this one in your headphones. Can you hear it? Yeah?
And then you want to be counting it in as well, so like... Let's find...
So like that, kind of. So does that make sense? But it's actually, first you want it to match the numbers to be the same. So you want to change that one to so that it comes up as 129.65.
Oh, so it's here? It's here. So if you move this a bit down,
Either of the
gently, no, the other way. Yeah, exactly. So you're going back. Yeah, go the other way you were going. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, so what we're going to do now is... You don't have to be exact, because
Yeah.
it's weird, right? On Recordbox, they give you the plus... Normally it would be like 0.4 in a club.
I mean, you wanna try and if you can. Does your numbers not work?
No, that's the same now. That's the same now. That's the same.
Okay, cool. Right.
So what we'll do is we'll show you how we would count it in. We'll find like a focal point of the tune. So it should be coming now.
When it, yeah,
One,
so when it
two,
drops.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no! Can you hear that one's
Can
not
you hear the
playing
one
yet.
that's playing out?
You can hear. You can probably
so
hear.
you want to
this.
try and listen to
Yeah.
that whilst.
So you want to listen to the one that's playing on the speakers with one ear, and you want to listen to the one you're about to mix in your headphones. Yeah. Some DJs can actually listen to both tunes. But that's crazy to me. You see how like you can now. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I would count in.
Yeah, I'll
But the reason that I'm waiting to show you is because it's not. I can't just start anywhere. Like I said, we think of it in terms of 16s and 32s first. So I'm just going to wait for another drop, which comes now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And then you would do it there. You would press play then, yeah. And you can also go like this. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That can help you. Some people judge this, but I think it's helpful. You see how that was on it? So you have a go at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, not yet. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, not yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But it was, yeah. So you get any track play. So let's try it again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, on the 1, 1. No, I was trying to be clever then. I'll just show you how to mix Okay. So I would do it then. Yeah, so maybe count to 16 is easier. We've done 2 4s now, so 2 more 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Like that. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So like if that. Whoa, what's happening there? Whoa, what's happening? That's what happened. The system was like, whoa. Okay, so. On the 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, yes. And I don't know if you can hear it when it's in. So this is, at the moment, it's a bit like quick, so I don't know. You can hear it sometimes. Oh, it's changed now. It's louder. And then you change it down. Yeah. But you've got it down like where to press it. So you can have another, anyone can have another go, but you get it like you press it at the right time. And then what you would do is right now, sorry, we've actually got 2 basses at once, yeah. Oh yeah, so yogging. So say you want to speed up a track. Can I fix this wire? Oh, is it something stuck? Okay, yeah, so the way that you would, okay, so this song's quite quiet, right? That's what it is.
Is there a filter on it?
Oh.
Yeah, that's the filter.
I'm not used to this mixer, sorry. That's what was wrong there. So say you wanted to like speed it up or you slow it down by doing this. And yeah, and then you speed it up by doing that, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's say you're feeling something that's a bit slow and needs to be jogged in. Obviously, if you're using the controller like this, you can almost cheat because you can see that it's not aligned. And you can jog it in, but I feel like it's good to start hearing it. Because the visual cues are great, but they're not always going to be there. And you can sometimes tell when something's off. But then when you're first starting out, if you stick to simple stuff, it can't go wrong anyway. And I think someone else want to have another go? Does it make sense? Yeah, of course. But you get the formula of like, yeah.
You can get that.
Yeah. Anyone else want to have a go? So have you mixed before?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. So you're familiar with like the control and stuff like that? That too, yeah. Absolutely too. So the track you're going to mix in is this one, and the track you can hear in your headphones, as we can see, is this one. Yeah? And then, I don't know, because obviously I'm talking to everyone like they're 5 years old, but like, how familiar are you with like musical? Oh. Yeah, because it's not playing yet, So what you'll be able to hear is you launching it. So let's say I want to press something here, like, but it's not faded up so no one else can hear it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you want to bring it in?
Playing on the second one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but if you really wanted to hear this one in the headphones, you could, but you don't want that. You want to listen with your ear to what's playing, and you want to listen in your headphones to what you're mixing in, yeah? And you need to always mix in on the one, yeah? Because music is divided into chords. But like I said, think of that within a 16s and 32. It's not just any one. So, and then the best way to do it is count in from a drop when you're starting out. So you see, I'll wait for a drop now with you, and then we'll count in from there. And then on the, how do I say this? We're going to count to 4 8 times. When I start counting on the 9th time, I want you to press play on the 1. Does that make sense?
Okay,
yeah. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, That's 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, not yet. 3, 4. The next one. 3, 4. 1. Exactly. And that might not be in, but the bass again. Turn the bass off of the track you're mixing. Huh?
We went to 6 4s.
Yeah, that's fine because it's
as long as
it's 32. Exactly. Yeah. And now there'll be no bass on this song. Okay, I know what's going on with the track, but the start of it, but like basically. See, I've now nudged it. I've slowed it down so it's in.
Sorry?
I slowed it down a little bit. I nudged it. I saw that it was off.
Yeah.
And then now what you want to do is, now that you've mixed it in the right place, you want to switch the bass lines for dramatic effect. So this is, always have it up to here. This is where it should be. Obviously it can go here, but you know, same way why does a car have 200, the capability to do that and switch them at the same time if you can. And then you can tell it's a different track. See how when you switch between, whereas when it's the same time, it's kind of annoying. But this has a distinct bass line that you now know it's another track. And then you can also play with the highs and stuff like that. That's when you get more like. But the most important thing is to focus on, I feel like, when you're starting out, is the basses. Never have 2 at the same time. When you switch it, that's when it's like, whoa, because people know it's a new song. And you can even keep the other one in for the vocal because she's saying deep inside.
It out
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can still hear like. It could be in 16.
Yeah.
But it's up to you when you want to take the track out. But yeah. And obviously, like, we in clubs, a lot of places, I'm sure it's not always the same here, but in the UK, everyone will always be decks. So we don't have this visual cue. But when you're starting out, this can help you because you can see what the waveform looks like and like, oh, it needs to be slowed down or sped up. And this is how you make the cues. So you, on this, it's different on everything. On this particular controller, the way you would do it is with these keypads here, but you can also do it in record books. So say you have a gig coming up, and you're like, okay, I really want to remember, I really want a button to show me which part of the tune it drops. So say it dropped here, you just press that. So now you have this permanent marker. You have a permanent marker now, so if you press that, if you press that, you want to press it, it's always going to go back to that point in the song. And you can even use that as a play button. You don't even have to use it like.
Because I have a DJ.
You can use it like that.
Roland. So I have a 202, and you use this for drums as well. So
It's like having a drum machine, right? And you can also use it for really cool things like vocal loops or like just pressing the same thing and going crazy.
Mine has drum sounds as well, so
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
It works for here as well. So
Yeah.
I haven't.
I think for whoever wants to go on next, I'm going to give you different songs. We're going to get bored of hearing the same shit. And we'll keep it in a similar...
So we can...
Yeah, exactly. We've made you a playlist with like loads of different... Yeah. I think every 2 people should do the same songs and then we'll change it. Okay. So I'm giving you guys like quite simple bass-heavy songs. This is a really good one. This one is a bit faster, so I'll make it 140 for you. I'll change it on here. So again, how familiar are you with?
Yeah,
cool. So you know how to speed it up.
I'm familiar with this.
Cool.
With, like beats and everything.
Okay, cool. So say I'm making it 140. Let's call it 140. And I know this decimal point. Don't overthink the decimal point. Sometimes it's bullshit. Like it's giving you too much information almost. It spoils you. I prefer it when it just says 140. Because a lot of decks will just say 140. They won't. Yeah.
What's 140 and 130?
BPM, exactly, yeah. So now this is faster than the previous genre. But if you really wanted to be, like, you could have fun with it and say you wanted to speed up this song here, you could also make it 140.
Yeah.
Obviously, some things don't sound good sped up, but I think most things are cool.
Is that what you use the T button for to make the tempo?
No, master tempo is to keep it within the same key, exactly. So say I was really speeding up this song, but I still wanted to stay in the same key, I would press master tempo. But if I wanted that, would you call it like a helium effect? You know that WhatsApp forward video with a cat effect, yeah? that doesn't have master tempo on it, is what I'm saying. That like comedy kind of, yeah, you know when people play like really sped up music, they would not be pressing the master tempo key. But it can work depending on what you like. And I'm gonna pick another track. Do you think the Unknown T one's a good one? Yeah? Okay, so we're gonna give you another one of Ahad's songs.
Sure.
I think it's good to start with his. So again, we'll make it the same. You know how to do it? Yeah? Okay, cool. So pretty much, like I said, it's annoying they give you these decimal points because you get obsessed with them, but don't worry about it. So we're gonna start with, let me work out how it sounds actually.
When we play it, so it's gonna affect like O2 or O3 notes, right?
It's gonna affect what?
Like O2 and 11.
See how it sometimes it changes itself, but it's you can hear it if it's off. But that's pretty much the same now. So I think a really good one to start with would be this one. It's really easy for Fortune. And then we want you to mix this next track. So if you want to hear this in your headphones, you press this. You don't want to hear you want to hear the song you're about to mix in the headphones, so you press the Q button, which only you can hear, no one in the crowd can hear it. So now we want to work into you mixing this song. Let me just make it right at the start of the song, because I can actually see visually that it's here.
And when I want people to hear it,
so you'd fade it up. You see what I mean? Yeah, don't fade it up. Mix it live, but like, yeah. So let's have a go at you mixing it in. So you want to count it in. You know how music works, you're a producer, so like on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's to cue it, which can help you, but to actually play it, you need to press this one.
This one?
Yeah. But like you can, did you press play? There, I would have done it there. You can wait 16 from there.
16 bar, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 1. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's in. Oh yeah, make sure the bass is switched off of the other track. This song is actually finishing, so we'll do that again. Yeah, but you get so have another go. That track was starting to finish, so I'll just make you a loop. So have another go. So try and mix it at the start of a 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So now it's another 16. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Not there. 1, 2, 3, and 1. There. So let's. You might be able to. Imagining that I. I can hear this one's a bit too fast, so I slowed it down.
Okay.
But like I said, you can also see on the waveform that it's not aligned. That's why that can also help you. A lot of Serato DJs use that. So they'll be like, oh, it's definitely out because I can see the line. You can see how here everything's perfectly in. And then what you want to, now that you've made it in, you're ready for the new track, you switch the bass. But you can see that it's coming up. So I would switch before then. So have a go. Well, there will be a waveform on the decks, and if you're using a controller, you're always going to have visual. The only people who don't have any visual cue are vinyl DJs. So you are always going to have that to look at, but it's good to not completely rely on it. But I would now switch it. So have a go at switching the bass. Switch the bass, and then turn this one off at the same time. Yeah, so now this has gone from the other track. The other track is now finished, but you mixed it out in time. Yeah. So yeah, and then make sure that the faders for the bass are like in the middle. Yeah? But I hope that helps. I mean, it makes sense. I wish we had like 3 days, because obviously it's hard. Yeah. But yeah, who else wants to have a go next?
I just had a question.
Yeah.
It's very irrelevant. But when you're making music, for example, on the piano, right?
Oh, whoa. A real musician.
No.
Sorry.
You end up with knowing which chords go with what, right? In the
Right,
end, which
yeah.
is a lot on music theory.
Right.
So with DJing, how much of house or techno is relying on music theory than it is on just sounding?
Depends, man. I'm not a very studious person. Like, I am quite ADHD, and I like just hearing out. Same way that like someone like Jimi Hendrix couldn't read music. There's no orthodox way to do it. You can be classically trained, or you can just feel it within yourself. And if you want to, I definitely know people who use the wheel of key, but those are people who've had to DJ commercial clubs because it's kind of harder. But I feel like if you're curating your playlist and people are coming to see the style of music you're playing, you don't need to overthink it. I think musical theory is all well and good, but how much of that is to do with human beings and how much they feel and how much they feel in the clubs. And don't forget, what does music theory know about drunk people, people on drugs, people who've had a heartbreak? Nothing. Those are people you're speaking to, right? That's why people go out to escape. So like, I wouldn't get, like, you can totally do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't feel like you're lacking if you don't. Like, because 100% there's a science to some stuff, but some stuff is just fun.
I've been laying off to make music because it felt like
Absolutely, no, don't think like that. The best artists just started fucking around. Like, you're with your friends. It's when you make it into something serious that it's not a science. As much as, you need to hear numbers, and those kind of things are fact, but it's fun, and it's about feelings.
Yeah.
So, like, don't let that hold you back. I don't know any musical theory. What the hell is that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but again, there's nothing wrong with knowing it. Does anyone else want to have a go before we run out of time? Yeah? So we're going to do what we did before, which is we're going to play you a really simple 4x4 Jersey track. Jersey music's really kind of easy to mix because of the way it's structured. So.
And is like when the cue light is on.
Exactly. So when this light is exactly. Unless it's faded up, then the whole club can hear it. But right now, you can hear this. If you put your headphones on, you'll be able to hear this song. I've pressed the cue. But make sure the cue button is pressed on the button you're going to, the song you're going to bring in, yeah?
Okay,
and what you want to do is you want to bring the song in on the one of the 16.
The beats match.
Yes, absolutely. So like, I think thinking about it in 16s is much, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's much easier than thinking about it just in 4s, because if it's a 4, you could bring it on the second 4. You don't want that, yeah? So we're going to...
It has to be even.
Yeah, exactly. Some music is structured differently, some genres, but if you avoid mixing those, you'll be fine.
Good way to get familiar with a software like this.
Download this. This is free. Virtual DJ is probably free. Yeah, so I don't even have these. A lot of the time I would just use this. Even though you don't, the only thing is you haven't got the faders, but it gives you a good idea. Oh, my mic's turned off. Of what goes together. So like you can just literally be in bed and being like, oh my God, I think this would work. And also that's how people and productions, because they'll go in record box and be like, wait, does this go? And it's a good way to feel it out without being in a club. So I would definitely download this and download Virtual DJ, because apparently I know my friend has it. She'll make mixes on it. No one can even tell she's not using decks. In fact, sometimes people don't realize. I don't think they have to be. Yeah.
And in DJing, you're mostly mixing songs, not like different loops together to make a song.
I do loops. You can have fun with it. You can put a speech on it. You can put sound effects on it. It depends whether you want to make it like a statement or whether you want it to be straightforward. You can put like sound clips.
Because I thought you only had 2 options to play with.
Good options, but sometimes you can have. So you had mixed. Look, there's 4 channels on this. Yeah, I mean, don't look at that because that's got nothing to do with what we're doing right now. But you could definitely, but stick to 2 when you're learning for sure. 10-minute break, yeah? Okay, cool. Then